The assignment. Captain Nara Voss stood at attention before the holographic display, her reflection ghosting against the star chart behind Admiral Reeves' projection. 20 years of military service had taught her to read between the lines of any briefing, and this one felt wrong from the start. "You want me to what?" she asked, breaking protocol with the familiar tone she'd earned over years of successful missions. The Admiral's hologram flickered slightly as he sighed. "It's a diplomatic assignment, Nara. The Aetherian Star Collective has specifically requested a human security detail for their ambassador's upcoming tour of the Sol system. With respect, sir, I'm a tactical specialist, not a bodyguard. Surely there are more qualified." "They requested you by name," Reeves interrupted, his expression unreadable. Ambassador Thalira was quite insistent. Nara felt her jaw tighten. The Aetherians were known for their prescience, their ability to see possible futures like threads in a tapestry. If they had requested her specifically, it wasn't for her combat skills alone. "What aren't you telling me, sir?" The Admiral's hologram leaned forward, his voice dropping. "The official story is that this is a routine diplomatic tour. The reality is that Ambassador Thalira has information about a threat to both our species. She believes you're the key to preventing a catastrophe." Based on one of their visions, Nara couldn't keep the skepticism from her voice. The Aetherians' precognitive abilities had helped forge the alliance between their species, but she preferred solid intelligence to mystical predictions. "Based on multiple convergent prophecies," Reeves corrected. "And based on your record. The incident at Proxima Station proved you can think beyond standard protocols when necessary." Nara suppressed a wince at the mention of Proxima. She'd saved the station and its 10,000 inhabitants, but the method she'd employed had earned her as many reprimands as commendations. "When do I meet the ambassador?" "She arrives at Luna Station in 6 hours. "And Nara?" The Admiral's expression softened slightly. "The Aetherians don't make requests lightly. Whatever this threat is, they're genuinely concerned. Handle this with care." The briefing ended, leaving Nara alone with her thoughts and the slowly rotating star chart. She checked her gear methodically, muscle memory taking over while her mind raced through possibilities. The Aetherians were a peaceful species, their technology focused on art and exploration rather than warfare. If they were worried enough to request military protection, the situation was more serious than anyone was admitting. Her community chimed with the arrival details. Luna Station's diplomatic dock, 6 hours to prepare. She had served with distinction in countless combat situations, but something about this assignment set her nerves on edge. The Aetherians had seen something in their future threads, something that required her specific skills or decisions. As she boarded the shuttle to Luna Station, Nara couldn't shake the feeling that she was missing something crucial. The Aetherians didn't just see the future, they saw possibilities, branching paths of what might be. If they had seen her in those paths, what role was she meant to play? The shuttle's engines hummed as it broke Earth's orbit, and Nara watched her homeworld shrink beneath her. Whatever game the Aetherians were playing, whatever threat they had foreseen, she would face it as she had faced every other challenge in her career, with determination, skill, and the stubborn resourcefulness that had become humanity's trademark among the stars. Little did she know, this assignment would test not just her combat skills, but every assumption she had about duty, destiny, and the true nature of the bonds between species. Whispers of conspiracy. Luna Station's diplomatic dock gleamed with the iridescent light of Aetherian technology as Ambassador Thalira's ship made its final approach. Nara stood at parade rest, watching through the reinforced viewport as the crystalline vessel settled into its berth with impossible grace. The ambassador emerged in a swirl of what looked like liquid starlight, her form tall and elegant in the way all Aetherians were, but there was something different about her. Most Aetherians Nara had encountered moved with an almost mechanical precision. Thalira moved like a dancer, each gesture flowing into the next with deliberate purpose. "Captain Voss." The ambassador's voice resonated in Nara's mind rather than her ears, another Aetherian trait she'd never quite gotten used to. Your thoughts are refreshingly direct. Nera maintained her professional stance. My thoughts are my own, Ambassador. A sound like wind chimes, Aetherian laughter. Indeed they are. And yet they align perfectly with what I have seen. You doubt the wisdom of this assignment. You question whether visions should guide such important decisions. With respect, Ambassador, I prefer to deal in concrete facts. As do I, Captain. Thalira gestured, and the air between them filled with shimmering patterns. These are sensor readings from 3 different Aetherian outposts. Each shows unusual quantum fluctuations consistent with illegal weapons development. Someone is attempting to create technology that could destabilize the very fabric of space-time. Nera studied the patterns, her tactical training kicking in. These readings are from within human space. Yes, and from within Aetherian territory as well. The threat I spoke of comes from both our peoples, working together toward catastrophe. Thalira's form shifted, colors rippling through her crystalline skin. That is why I requested you. In every future thread where we prevent this disaster, you are present. Your unconventional approach is crucial. Before Nera could respond, her community buzzed. Security alerts from 3 different sectors of the station. She checked the feeds and felt her stomach tighten. Ambassador, we need to move. Now. Thalira's voice held no surprise. They are earlier in this thread than in others. How fascinating. Armed figures in environmental suits were converging on their position from multiple directions. Standard station security protocols were failing. Someone had hacked the system. Nara drew her sidearm, already calculating routes to the nearest secure area. Ambassador, I need you to. She turned to find Thalira already moving, her crystalline form flowing like quicksilver toward a maintenance access panel. This way, Captain. I have seen this part before. Nera followed, her tactical training warring with her instinct to take charge. The maintenance tunnel was cramped for humans, but Thalira simply adjusted her form, condensing herself to fit the space. They emerged 2 levels down, in a supposedly restricted area. You've studied the station layout, Nara observed as they moved. I have studied many possible versions of this day, Thalira replied. In some, we die here. In others, we discover something crucial. The difference often lies in whether you trust your instincts or your training. An explosion rocked the station. Klaxons blared as emergency containment fields snapped into place. Nara checked her community. The blast had taken out the main diplomatic security office. This wasn't just an assassination attempt. It was a coordinated strike. They're trying to trigger a diplomatic crisis, she realized. If you die on a human station, the peace between our species would not survive, Thalira confirmed. But that is not their true goal. They wish to ensure our peoples are too busy fighting each other to notice their real work continuing. Another explosion, closer this time. Nara made a decision. Ambassador, I'm about to break about 15 different protocols. Are you seeing any futures where that works out well? Thalira's form brightened with what might have been approval. Captain, I chose you precisely because of your willingness to break protocols when necessary. And yes, the futures where you trust that instinct are far more interesting than those where you don't. Right, Nara took a deep breath. Then, with all due respect, Ambassador, shut up and follow me. She led them through a series of maintenance shafts and emergency routes that weren't on any official station diagrams, calling in favors from her less-than-regulation contacts on the station. They emerged in the station's engineering sector just in time to see a group of figures in unmarked environmental suits entering a restricted area. The quantum readings are strongest here, Thalira observed. In most futures, this is where we learn the truth. In how many futures do we survive learning it? The price of trust. The engineering sector's emergency lighting cast everything in a blood-red glow as Nara and Thalira crouched behind a bank of processors. The figures in environmental suits were methodically setting up equipment that made Nara's skin crawl just looking at it. That's not standard tech, she whispered, though she knew the ambassador could hear her thoughts just as clearly. No, Thalira's mental voice was tight with concern. It is a merger of human ingenuity and Etherian quantum manipulation. In the wrong hands, which these clearly err, it could tear holes in reality itself. Nara checked her weapon's charge and did a quick count of the opposition. 8 figures, all armed, all wearing suits that masked their species. In how many futures do we stop them? Fewer than I would like, Thalira admitted. But probability is not destiny, Captain. Your species has taught us that much. A high-pitched whine filled the air as the mysterious equipment powered up. Readings on Nara's tactical display went haywire, quantum fluctuations distorting local space-time. We're out of time for planning, Nara decided. Ambassador, can your people do that thing where you phase through solid matter? Under normal circumstances, yes. But this technology, it disrupts our quantum coherence. Right, then we do this the human way. Nara pulled a small device from her belt. Cover your eyes. The flashbang grenade did its job, disorienting the suited figures long enough for Nara to take down 2 of them with precise shots. But the others recovered quickly, returning fire with weapons that seemed to bend space itself around their energy bolts. Thalira's crystalline form shifted, creating patterns that somehow deflected the worst of the spatial distortions. Captain, the device they're building. It's reaching critical resonance. Nara rolled behind another console, returning fire. In plain human terms, it will create a cascade of quantum breaches, starting here and spreading throughout the station. The diplomatic incident would be considerable. A shot grazed Nara's armor, leaving a streak of frost and burning cold. Can you interface with it? Shut it down. Not from here. I would need direct contact, and the disruption field they've created makes that impossible for my kind. Nara made a quick decision. Then I'll get you there. Trust me. In every future where we succeed, yes. What followed was a dance of chaos and precision. Nara moved like she had at Proxima Station, letting instinct and training merge into something beyond standard tactics. She created openings with suppressing fire, used maintenance drones as impromptu shields, and slowly carved a path toward the quantum device. But the opposition was good, too good. They moved with military precision that spoke of high-level training, and their weapons were unlike anything she'd encountered. A blast caught her in the leg, and she felt reality itself twist around the wound. Captain, Thalira's mental voice was tinged with genuine concern. That injury, in most futures it proves fatal. Good thing we're making our own future, Nara grunted, pushing through the pain. Besides, you said probability isn't destiny. They were almost to the device when one of the suited figures spoke, in perfect Etherian. The crystalline tones were jarring coming from the environmental suit. Ambassador Thalira, the voice held mockery. Did you really think your precious visions showed you everything? We've been planning this for decades, seeding possibilities, creating blind spots in your species' precognition. Fascinating, Thalira replied, her form pulsing with dangerous colors. You understand our abilities well enough to hide from them, yet not well enough to realize their true nature. We don't see the future, we see potential. And right now, she glanced at Nara, who was already moving. The captain launched herself at the nearest opponent, using their own weapon's spatial distortion to create an opening. The suited figure went down, and Nara came up with their weapon. The potential I see, Thalira continued, flowing toward the quantum device, is distinctly human in nature. Nara fired the captured weapon at the device itself, not to destroy it but to disrupt the spatial field around it. The effect was like a lens-shifting focus. Suddenly, Thalira could move freely, her crystalline form interfacing directly with the machine. No, the Etherian conspirator raised their weapon, but Nara was faster. The shot caught them in the chest, their suit crumpling as space itself seemed to fold around them. Warning klaxons reached a fever pitch as Thalira merged with the device. Captain, I can prevent the cascade, but the energy has to go somewhere. In most futures, this ends. poorly. Nara looked at her tactical display, at the station schematics, at the quantum readings that were rapidly approaching critical levels. Then she smiled, the same smile that had terrified her instructors at the academy. Most futures don't account for human improvisation, Ambassador. Do you trust me? Always. Thalira's response was immediate. Though I admit, the futures where you ask that question are rarely boring. Good. Then let's show these conspirators what happens when they underestimate both our species. Beyond stars. Reroute the quantum cascade through the station's plasma conduits, Nara commanded, her fingers flying over the engineering console. The magnetic containment fields can handle the spatial distortion long enough to get it where we need it. Thalira's crystalline form pulsed with understanding. The maintenance airlocks. You intend to vent the energy into space. Better. Nara's smile was fierce. I'm going to give these conspirators exactly what they wanted, just not where they wanted it. The remaining attackers had taken cover, realizing too late that their plan was unraveling. The Aetherian speaker tried one last time to regain control. You don't understand what's at stake. The barriers between realities are weakening. Without controlled breaches, both our species will be defenseless when the collapse begins. No, Thalira's mental voice carried unexpected steel. You sought to tear holes in space-time itself, believing that controlled destruction was the only path to survival. But you forgot something crucial about both our peoples. Nara finished her calculations, her injured leg screaming as she braced against the console. We're better at building than destroying. The quantum energy coursed through the station's plasma network, following the path Nara had created. Instead of fighting the spatial distortions, she used them, letting the energy amplify itself in carefully controlled bursts. Ambassador, she gritted through clenched teeth, I need you to do that quantum manipulation thing. Right now. Thalira's form expanded, merging with the energy flows in ways Nara's human mind couldn't quite process. The crystalline alien's consciousness brushed against hers, sharing glimpses of possible futures, most ending in disaster, but one shining thread leading somewhere new. Now, Nara slammed the final command. The quantum cascade erupted from Luna Station's primary communication array, but instead of tearing reality apart, it did something entirely unexpected. The energy formed a lattice, a bridge between normal space, and a quantum realm that the Aetherians called home. Impossible, the Aetherian conspirator breathed. The calculations were perfect. Thalira completed, her form resolving back to normal as the energy stabilized. Just not in the way you imagined. Instead of breaking down the barriers between realities, we've created a controlled interface. Nara's tactical display showed security teams finally breaking through to their location. Care to explain what we just did? Preferably in terms a quantum physics-challenged human can understand. Thalira's mental voice held warmth and admiration. We've created what your scientists would call a quantum bridge, a permanent connection between normal space and the quantum realm, controlled and stable, something that should have taken decades of careful research. And all it took was some human improvisation and Aetherian foresight. Nara finally allowed herself to sink to the floor, her injured leg giving out. Think this will convince both our governments that we're better off working together. The security teams burst in, led by Admiral Reeves himself. He took in the scene, the captured conspirators, the quantum bridge visible through the station's viewports, and his injured but triumphant officer sitting beside a literally glowing alien ambassador. Captain Voss, he sighed, I assume you have one hell of a report for me. Actually, sir, Nara glanced at Thalira, who pulsed with amusement. I think this might be above both our pay grades. But I can tell you this, we just changed everything. The aftermath would indeed change everything. The quantum bridge became the foundation for a new era of human-Aetherian cooperation. The conspirators' fears about reality's collapse weren't entirely unfounded, but their solution had been drastically misguided. Together, the two species began developing ways to stabilize the quantum fabric of space itself. As for Captain Nara Voss, She found herself appointed as the first human liaison to the Etherian Quantum Defense Initiative. The position, she discovered, involved a lot more paperwork than shooting, but also regular collaboration with a certain crystalline ambassador who had an annoying tendency to be right about possible futures. You know, Nera said months later, watching Thalira manipulate quantum fields with the casual grace that still amazed her. You never did tell me exactly what you saw in those future threads that made you choose me specifically. Thalira's form shimmered with what Nera had learned to recognize as affectionate amusement. I saw someone who would look at an impossible situation and see not just a solution, but an opportunity. I saw a human who would trust an alien's visions enough to act on them, but not enough to let them be limiting. You saw someone who would break all the rules. I saw someone who would know which rules needed breaking, and more importantly, why. Thalira's colors shifted to deeper, more serious tones. Our peoples have much to learn from each other, Captain. The future threads show many possibilities, but in all the brightest ones, we face them together. Nera thought about the quantum bridge, about the new technologies and understandings emerging from their cooperation, about the way two vastly different species had come together to build something rather than destroy. Together, she agreed, reaching out to let her hand pass through Thalira's crystalline form in what had become their own unique gesture of friendship. I think I can work with that future. Above them, the quantum bridge shimmered with possibilities, a testament to what could be achieved when human determination met Etherian wisdom, when trust overcame fear, and when the future was seen not as a fixed path, but as an endless field of potential waiting to be explored. Echoes of tomorrow. 6 months after the quantum bridge incident, Luna Station had transformed from a simple diplomatic outpost into the heart of human Etherian scientific cooperation. The once sterile corridors now pulsed with crystalline growths that interfaced seamlessly with human technology, creating a hybrid environment that symbolized the growing partnership between the species. Nera stood at the observation deck, watching teams of human scientists and Etherian scholars work together on the quantum bridge's maintenance. Her leg had healed, though it still ached when spatial distortions grew strong. Some scars, she'd learned, went deeper than flesh. Your thoughts are troubled today, Thalira's mental voice whispered as the ambassador materialized beside her. The future threads around you are turbulent. Just thinking about the latest reports from the outer colonies, Nera turned to face her friend, noting how Thalira's crystalline form had adapted to include more human-recognizable expressions. The quantum instabilities are spreading faster than we predicted. Ah. Thalira's colors shifted to deeper blues. You've realized what the conspirators meant about reality's collapse. They weren't wrong about the threat. Nora pulled up a holographic display showing the affected sectors. They were just wrong about the solution. Trying to control the collapse by creating their own breaches was like trying to stop a forest fire by setting more fires. An apt human metaphor. Thalira interfaced directly with the display, adding layers of quantum data that made Nera's eyes hurt. But perhaps we can learn from both their mistakes and their insights. Before Nera could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Not the standard warning klaxons, but a new tone they'd developed specifically for quantum anomalies. The holographic display erupted with new data as sensors detected massive disturbances in the fabric of space-time. That's not possible, Nera breathed, watching the reading spike. The bridge was supposed to stabilize these effects. It was. Thalira's form fluctuated with concern. But someone is using our own technology against us. The quantum bridge isn't just a connection point anymore. It's becoming a weapon. Security teams rushed past as Nera accessed the station's tactical systems. The quantum bridge's energy signature was changing, its carefully controlled lattice beginning to unravel. "Can you see anything?" Nera asked, already moving toward the bridge control center. "Any future thread where we contain this?" "The possibilities are chaotic. Too many variables." Thalira flowed alongside her crystalline form rippling with calculations. "But there's something else. These energy patterns, they're familiar." They reached the control center to find it in chaos. Human technicians and Etherian specialists worked frantically to stabilize the quantum fields, but every adjustment seemed to make things worse. "It's like it's learning," one of the human scientists reported, "adapting to our corrections faster than we can implement them." Nara studied the pattern of the energy fluctuations, something nagging at her tactical instincts. "It's not learning," she realized. "It's remembering." "Thalira, you said the patterns were familiar. They're from the original device, aren't they?" The ambassador's form pulsed with revelation. "Yes, the conspirators' technology. We never fully understood how they developed it. They must have had help from the future," Nara finished. "They weren't just trying to prevent reality's collapse. They were receiving instructions from a timeline where it had already happened." The quantum bridge flared with new energy, and reality itself seemed to shudder. Through the observation windows, Nara could see spatial distortions spreading across the station like cracks in glass. "If that's true," Thalira's mental voice was tight with concentration, "then perhaps we can use the bridge the same way. Not to receive instructions, but to understand what we're truly fighting." "You want to look through time itself." Nara checked her weapons out of habit, though she knew they'd be useless against this threat. "I thought your people could only see possibilities, not concrete futures." "The bridge changes everything," Thalira replied. "It's not just a connection between normal space and the quantum realm. It's a window into all potential realities, including the one the conspirators were trying to prevent." Warning signals blared as the station's structural integrity began to fail. They had minutes, maybe less, before the quantum cascade became irreversible. "Whatever we're going to do," Nara said, "we need to do it fast. I'd rather not have to evacuate the station." Thalira's form shifted, extending crystalline tendrils toward the bridge controls. "I can interface directly with the quantum fields, try to stabilize them long enough to see through. But I'll need an anchor, something to keep me connected to this reality. Like a human brain that doesn't process quantum physics." Nara managed a grim smile. "I thought you said the futures where I volunteer for crazy plans usually end badly." "They do," Thalira admitted. "But they're also the futures where we discover something unexpected. Something that changes everything." The quantum bridge pulsed with increasing power as reality continued to fragment around them. Nara made her decision, stepping forward to place her hand through Thalira's crystalline form. "Then let's make some impossible futures of our own."